can you introduce yourself and tell me about a favorite vacation?
Hello, my name's Laura Waterhouse. I will tell you about my vacation in Washington, D.C.
That's an interesting place to visit. Tell me about your trip.
2 years ago, my brother, mom, and dad went to visit my aunt, uncle, and cousin in Washington, D.C. And when I arrived there, it was so warm compared to my home. You know, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's warm. What happened in Washington, D.C., it was snowing. That was the first time I got to see snow. When I was there, something happened to me. I went to visit the Gallaudet College. Wow, it was nice. I was visiting it because maybe someday I'll go there.
How did you pick that place to go on vacation?
The reason that we went to Washington, D.C. was because my mom, she had a meeting, conference, and she had to take my brother and me. And we got a chance to see Washington, D.C., and luckily enough, the meeting was in a fancy hotel. Me and my brother had fun all day.
What did you see while you were in Washington, D.C.?
After we stayed there, we went to visit a famous museum named the Smithsonian. It was about space, travel, and it was really interesting, but something happened there, something strange. I started to feel dizzy, so we had to leave the museum where we're going to go back home. It started to get worse and worse, and we decided to go see the doctor. The doctor said, seemed like I was fine, but if I got worse, come back again. Okay, fine. So we went back, and I couldn't sleep that night. All night I was tossing, turning, scratching. My whole body was itchy. So I went back to that doctor, and he looked at me, and he said I had scarlet fever. He said you have to eat a lot of sweets and chocolate.
So, did that make you feel better?
I got a lot of sweet food. I was just eating and eating, but no, I got worse. It didn't help. So the next day in the afternoon, next day in the afternoon, it got worse and worse, and my mom and my aunt decided that I probably should go to the hospital. So when we started to leave the house, I was coming, still dizzy. I couldn't look for the car, and something happened to me. So when I was walking, a car came, and it was like 1 inch from my face, and it went just like right past me. And my mom screamed at me to stop, but I couldn't hear her because I was deaf. And so we got in the car and went to the hospital. I opened up the door, and I threw up. So then I went into the hospital. The doctor looked me over and says, yeah, you're sick, you're pretty bad, you need to stay home. But we decided to stay at the hotel for 2 days. Stayed all day. I got to watch TV with my brother. Mom was sleeping all day.
That's too bad that you were sick on your vacation.
Not really, because when my mom was with the White House to get me an interpreter so I can go on the tour there, but they said no interpreter. We kept calling again and again, and finally they said, okay, we'll get an interpreter, but that day I was sick, so I couldn't go.
Did you get to do anything fun while you were there?
When I was in DC, I got to visit my mom's friend named Ruth and saw her two kids, and one was my age and one was younger, just like my brother. We grew up with them. My mom's friend, the one child, we're the same age. I haven't seen for a long time, and we got to play, and it was really fun.
Did you see any other museums or do much sightseeing while you were there?
When I was visiting the different museums, I got to see the one museum named, oh, it was about the Holocaust. It was very sad in that museum. Talking about the one girl whose life was like living in the concentration camps and how she lived through that time through the Holocaust. And then I got to visit Washington, D.C., Washington Monument, and it was a very windy day and we couldn't go inside because of the severe winds. I wish I could have gone inside, but we couldn't. And then another museum we visited about Abraham Lincoln. I have the sign name. It's A and the L. Really, it was very interesting to see that because I never seen it before.
After your bad experience being sick, do you think you'd like to go back to Washington, D.C.?
Luckily, last July I got a chance to fly back to Washington, D.C. for my Gallaudet camp, cheer camp, and I finally got to see D.C. was really like while I wasn't sick.
Did you see anything different the second time you were there?
Finally, I got to see more of the Gallaudet campus. I got to see awesome kids out there in the East.
Tell me more about your experience at Gallaudet.
I got to meet some other kids from Washington, Virginia, Delaware, some from New York, and I got a chance to stay at Gallaudet for 1 week in a dorm, to see what it was like there. So in the future, maybe if I go to Gallaudet College, I might be staying in that kind of dorm.
Tell me about the camp you went to.
The camp that I went there for cheering, I learned some new cheer skills. There was somebody there who taught us, and it's basketball.
Cool. Was she deaf?
Yes, she was deaf.
Did you win any games or get any trophies?
I got a prize.
Do you think you'd like to go back again someday?
Yes, I do want to go back someday for some other visit.
Thanks for spending time with me today.